Hey, this is Matt Wenning at WenningStrength.com. Today we're going to talk about how to increase your vertical jump and maybe think of some things that you haven't thought of before. So let's get to it. Okay, so the vertical jump is a test that's used in football, baseball, almost any sport really. It's one of those particular tests that every high school, college, and even pro athlete tends to try to get better. And the hard part with it is that some people need different things at different times. So in this video, what I wanted to kind of talk about is the things that I've used with some of my pro athletes, used with some of my high school kids, and even some of my younger kids to get their vertical jump to go up. One of those big things that we use is maximal strength. So for most people, maximum strength is one of those things that you're just going to have in order to push dynamic strength. Now what does that mean? That means you need to get stronger to get faster. So although you're going to be moving heavy weights at a slower speed, you still need to learn to innervate those deep tissues in order to be able to utilize them for something quick. Case in point, Ben Johnson was one of the fastest sprinters in the world before Usain Bolt came along, was squatting 30 pounds for a couple of reps at like 200 body weight right before the 1988 Olympics, breaking the world record in the 100-meter dash. Charlie Francis knew that Ben Johnson needed more strength. So the point is that strength does have transfer over to speed. But at what point? Well, that's individual because it depends on if you're strong or if you're weak. There are lots of people that can squat 600 and 700 pounds that don't have high verticals. So it doesn't necessarily mean that maximum strength is the key point. It just means that if it's your weakness, it could be a particular point that you need to work on in your training to make your vertical go up. Now, the opposite side of that is getting faster. So as you'll see in this video, box squats with pauses, learning to store and utilize kinetic energy, which is if we come down and we pause on the box and then stand up as fast as we can, we're having to stand up with pure muscle power. We're learning to store kinetic energy longer, which is going to allow us to be able to jump higher in theory. But how we adjust that is with the force velocity curve. And if we look at this force velocity curve, we see that obviously 90+% weights move slow, and then the lighter the weights become, the faster they move. Well, in my personal opinion, that can be heavily modified, or at least slightly modified, by the use of bands and chains, right? It's going to increase kinetic energy and force us to push through things as they get harder. If we were to look at a vertical jump, for example, when you see maximum force, what you're going to see, the maximum force is when somebody goes down and right when they come up, right? That initial transfer from eccentric to concentric. And then the rest of the time, they're going to glide through that power that's already made through mostly stretch reflex. Well, what if that's enhanced? Meaning, what if you're used to training with bands and chains, i.e. a different force velocity curve? Are you going to be able to jump higher? The answer is yes. Now, the trick is knowing how much bands, chains, and weights to use. That can be variable depending on 1, your strength, and 2, your technical proficiency. Now, we have that one thing that's in the middle. That one thing that's in the middle is something called like a high pull. So as most of you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of Olympic lifting due to the fact that it just takes too long to learn. Right? If you take an athlete and you want to start them at 5 years old with a dowel rod and teach them power cleans and snatches, by all means have it. But if you're already 16 to 20 years old and you're trying to adjust yourself into Olympic lifting, good luck. That's the entire reason why we have never seen a gold medal in Olympics from the United States in almost 60 years now. And the reason is because Olympic lifting, if you really want to truly be good at it, you got to start really young. But there is one thing that we do want from Olympic lifters, and that's power production. So if you look at Olympic lifting, it is truly power, right? So powerlifting should be strength lifting, and Olympic lifting should be called powerlifting because it's actually rate of force change, right? So Olympic lifters tend to have some of the highest vertical jumps ever. I remember a poster that I used to have in my bedroom of Shane Hammond. He was 350-ish pounds, and he was jumping at least 38 to 42 inches in the air after doing a clean and jerk or a snatch. So imagine a 350-pound man having somewhere near a 40-inch vertical. Just unbelievable. But he also squatted 1,000 pounds insanely fast. The point is that Olympic lifters do have some of the highest vertical jumps. But just because the Olympic lifts are so hard to use, you're probably better off learning a method of the Olympic lifts or a position of the Olympic lifts that we call like the high pull. So as you're seeing in this video here, we're going to stand in the position in which we actually jump, and we're going to do a high pull from there. Notice that the weights are super light. We're only using 135. I'm a 775-pound deadlifter now if you have a gun to my head. So it's not something that you need to do super heavy because you're starting to slowly transfer. So what I want you to look at is that force velocity curve. Notice that you're seeing this max effort exercise here, say a squat or a deadlift, as heavy as we can go. Then you're seeing a dynamic squat with bands and chains in a box, right? So that's somewhere in the middle. Then you're seeing something that's ultra explosive, right? Like below 30%. And now you're going to have the transfer of the jump. Now, how much of those you need is dependent on where you're weak. So are you strong and not quick? You might need more high pulls and box squats with speed work. Are you quick but not strong? You may need to work on this maximum effort side in order to enhance that force velocity curve and make your vertical go up. So I know there's a lot of topics that we went over today. Hopefully the videos will give you some inclination of kind of how those things differ. But the real trick to almost everything I talk about is making sure that you're fixing what you personally need as a weakness, right? So if you're strong and not quick, get quicker. If you're quick but not strong, get stronger. So I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. We all want to think that practicing vertical jumps all the time is going to get our vert to go up. Theoretically, it's the limitation of that's very small. You're only going to be able to increase that vertical jump by practicing it so much. Then again, if you're strong and you're constantly trying to get stronger, it's not going to help your vertical jump either. So always know your weaknesses. Hopefully this video helps, and we'll see you guys again on winningstrength.com. If you guys have any questions, or you're high school athletes and you're struggling with this, or maybe you don't have a strength coach, which is very common, hop on our online coaching and we can help you with that.